It's the end of the school year for us, just a week left. And with the end of the school year comes a whole lot of stuff for moms, more balls getting thrown into our already juggling act with graduations, parties, recitals, sports finals, and hopefully championships. And for me, because I want to be involved in all of the things, the next 2 weeks are just completely jam packed with all of the things I said yes to this year. I have my big charity event that I coordinate all the volunteers for this Wednesday. Thursday, I have Michael's stepping up ceremony, which I signed up to do the slideshow for. He has his field day the following week that I'm a co chair for. And then the last day of school is Wednesday, and it will be my last ever classroom party, which I've already warned my kids that I will be that embarrassing mom crying on the last day of school. Hopefully, I could wear my sunglasses so I don't completely embarrass Michael, but it's also Kaylee's last day in her school where she spent the last 8 years of her life. So I think it's going to be tough for both of us. But to me, these are the important things that I want to be able to do, that I somehow always find the time to get done and show up for. And the reason I have been able to show up all of these years is because I have the job that I have. When I moved to New Jersey and my commute time doubled, I realized that I was missing out on so much and that my work life balance was so off. So I paid attention to those signs that something was off. And I made the tough decision then and there to switch jobs, which is what we're going to be talking about today. But I know not all of you are in the position to switch jobs tomorrow. So if your work life balance is off, do your sanity a favor and book a discovery call with me today and discover how, with my help, you can create balance in your life this summer to enjoy this time with your kids, making lasting memories, because that is what life is all about. So check out my show notes for the link to book your call today. Are you feeling overwhelmed trying to juggle all the many hats you wear as a working mom? Do you want more quality time with your family without distraction of work and time alone to take care of yourself and your needs? Welcome to Mom Wife Career Life. I'm Kerri, a wife, mom of 3, and a recovering perfectionist. In this podcast, I will teach you how to create balance in your life by implementing healthy habits, organizing your home and your schedule, being intentional with your time and in your relationships, and most importantly, how to start putting your needs first, because no one can pour from an empty cup. Grab that second cup of coffee, or if you're anything like me, your third. It's time to dive into today's episode of Mom Wife Career Life. COVID was really such a transformational time for the corporate world. We went from working in the office 5 days a week to working fully remote, and now most places have some sort of hybrid setup where you're in the office part-time and you're home part-time. But that COVID period also made most of us take a huge step back and really reflect on our jobs, reflect on our life, and what really matters at the end of the day. Life is too short to waste any part of it doing something that doesn't make you happy. And being that we spend half of our waking hours a week working and commuting to work, if you are unhappy at your job, that's a ridiculous amount of time a week that you are spending unhappy. And when you're unhappy and you're stressed, it can have a serious ripple effect on the rest of your life. You are more irritable with your family, you don't take care of yourself in the way that you should, and it can really have a negative effect on your overall health. So I know a lot of you are feeling stuck, but I'm here today to tell you that you are not. Happiness is a choice. Working at your job is a choice, but change is scary. And sometimes amid all this chaos, we get so caught up in the daily grind that we don't notice the subtle signs that our job might be dragging us down. And sometimes amid all of this chaos, we get so caught up in the daily grind that we don't notice the subtle signs that our job might be dragging us down more than it's lifting us up. So today we're going to talk through the telltale signs that it might be time to consider a new job. Let's jump right in. The first sign is you're burnt out. If you're constantly feeling exhausted, you're stressed, overwhelmed, good chances are that your job is playing a huge role in that. If you get to Tuesday and by Tuesday it already feels like you've worked a full week, then you really need to take a step back and really think about why you feel that way. Your job might be taking too much of a toll on you. If you don't have the energy for your kids and your family at the end of the workday, especially in the summer, then it's not fair for you and it's definitely not fair to them. Your well-being needs to be one of your non-negotiables. So if your job is starting to affect your mental health, it's time to prioritize yourself and really think about making a change. Number 2, you feel like your work-life balance is completely off. If you find yourself not being able to detach from work, you're working late hours and on the weekends, or you're constantly getting calls and checking your emails when you should be focusing and being present with your family, If you're missing out on important moments in your kid's life because your job is too demanding, if you are not able to set those boundaries and be present in that moment, then you really need to take the time to sit down and identify what your priorities are. For me, when we moved, my commute went from 45 minutes each way to an hour and a half each way. That's 3 hours a day. I was missing out on everything. I was getting home after the kids had dinner. I basically had time to read Michael a book and put him in bed. I loved my job. I was a property manager in the city. I had the best staff that were like family to me. Work never felt like work, but I knew I was never going to get this time back with my kids. So I made that decision to change jobs, but I stayed with my company. It allowed me to work from home before working from home was even a thing. And I can't say I love what I do, but I love being able to bring my kids to school, to be home when they walk through the door to ask them how school was, to be able to drive them to their activities, to have dinner with them every night. Those were my priorities. And 6 years later, I can honestly say I have zero regrets on making that switch. And honestly, I don't know that I will ever go back to working in an office again because being home has become a priority for me. Number 3, lack of growth opportunities. Maybe you're the mom that wants to climb that corporate ladder, whether it be for personal fulfillment or maybe financial reasons. I know when I was in my 20s, I had serious career goals. I wanted to be a VP and making 6 figures by the time I hit 30, and there was nothing stopping me. And when I didn't see those opportunities within my company, I started to look outside, and it wasn't until I had an offer from a competitor that my company offered me a promotion and more money. And honestly, over the years, I've seen people grow the fastest by job hopping. A lot of people that leave my company end up coming back. We call them boomerangs, but they end up coming back for bigger roles, making more money. And if they would have stayed, I don't know that that's where they would be today. And it's sad that companies don't always see the value in their employees until they leave, but it's a common theme in the corporate world for all companies. But I will also say, you should be communicating with your manager your desire to grow and take on a bigger role. If you haven't done that yet, then that should really be your first step. You need to be your own advocate. Not all managers know how to develop people, so it could also mean that you have to build your network within your company to see what else is out there because companies are big. You might not even know what's out there until you start talking to people. But if you feel like you've really exhausted all of your options and the opportunity isn't there to grow, then maybe start looking at your competitors if you want to stay within the field, or start looking for where your skills can be transferred maybe into a different industry. Number 4, you don't have a good relationship with your manager. Your manager plays a really important role in your career. A good manager is someone who's approachable, easy to talk to, listens to your concerns, helps mentor you, is empathetic and understanding. I've really been pretty lucky in my career to have good managers, but I've seen some really crappy ones. And there's nothing worse than having a micromanager that you feel is looking over your shoulder, questioning everything you do, that gives you a hard time when you want to or need to take off, that isn't helping you grow or doesn't go to bat for you. If you feel that your manager is holding you back or holding you down, then it's time to find a new manager, which doesn't necessarily mean leaving your company. It might just mean finding a new role within your company under a new manager. Number 5, you have an unhealthy work environment. A negative or a toxic workplace can really affect both your mental and physical health. If you're dealing with constant negativity, gossip, or really unprofessional behavior from colleagues or even your management, then it's definitely time to consider a change. I've crossed paths with a lot of toxic people in my day that are just miserable human beings and want to bring everyone around them down. But I've learned over the years to be empathetic towards these people because there's obviously something going on in their lives that's making them this miserable, and it just spills over to their work environment. But while I'm empathetic, it does not mean that it's something I tolerate as a manager. And I've also learned and seen that a lot of managers don't know how to handle or address toxic or negative people, so they just ignore those behaviors, hoping that they'll go away. But those negative people can really bring an entire team down. I've seen it happen many times. If that is your work environment and your manager isn't doing anything to address it, it might be a sign to look for something better. Number 6, you feel undervalued. When your contributions go unrecognized or unappreciated, it can really be disheartening. Feeling valued and appreciated plays a big part in your overall job satisfaction, whether you think about it or not. And it really stinks to be in a thankless job, and stinks even more to then feel like you're not getting recognition or the appreciation you deserve. It comes down to those love languages we talked about. I forget what episode it was, but go back and look for it. How do you like to receive praise? Not everyone likes to receive praise the same way. If you're comfortable talking to your manager about it in your one-on-one, bring it up. Tell him or her that it's important to you to hear the feedback when you're doing a good job and that it helps motivate you. It also goes back to the having a good manager. A good manager will listen. But if you have a bad manager and feel undervalued, then chances are nothing is going to change. And you might feel valued by your manager, but undervalued by your company. Maybe your manager loves you and gives you the praise you want, but it doesn't go beyond that. Maybe your workload has increased, but you haven't gotten a raise and there is nothing your manager can do about it, even though he or she may want to give you a raise. I've seen that happen plenty of times. This is where you kind of have to do a pro-con list and decide how strongly feeling valued means to you. Or maybe this is the straw that breaks the camel's back, that there are other things going on and this is just another box being checked that gives you that push you need to go look for something else. Number 7, mismatch values. If your personal values are not aligned with your company's values or cultures, it can make you pretty unhappy and kind of make you feel uncomfortable at work. If you are getting asked to do things that don't sit well with you, if you see people getting treated unfairly and it's not sitting well with you, then maybe it's time to find another company that better aligns with your values and what's important to you. Number 8, persistent boredom. I can honestly say that I don't know what it's like to feel bored at work. My jobs have always been really busy and there is always something to do and always a variety of things to do. I know when I'm interviewing people, they always ask me, what is your typical day like? And I'm like, I don't think I've ever had a typical day in my entire career. I can't say that I always love the work that I do, but I would never call it boring. Well, maybe when I had to create annual budgets way back when, working until 1 a.m. in the morning, but that was years ago, and luckily I no longer have to do that. But if you are constantly feeling bored or uninspired by your work, maybe you're doing the same thing all day and there is no variety, then maybe you need to do something different, something more challenging. Maybe you need to shake things up. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to look for another job. Start by speaking to your manager about getting involved in other things, helping out on a special project maybe. This can help get you exposure to other roles and other people in your company. It's also an opportunity to network or even just at the end of the day, get another great line to add on your resume. Number 9, poor compensation. If you feel underpaid for the work that you do and there's no sign of a raise or improvement in your compensation package, then it might be time to look for a job that pays you what you feel you're worth. I've seen a lot of companies doing layoffs and restructuring post-COVID and expecting remaining employees to do more with no change in pay or title, and that's a really hard pill to swallow. If that's you, there's nothing wrong with going out and testing your worth on the market. Look for similar jobs and see what the pay is. The best time to look for a job is when you already have one because there's zero pressure on you. If your company really values you and you go to give notice, they may try to match your offer or even beat it. Number 10, you have that gut feeling. Trust your intuition. If that little voice in the back of your mind keeps nudging you towards a change, it might be worth listening to. Your instincts are a powerful guide, so don't ignore them. If you are getting that feeling, take the time to meditate on it. Go for a walk and really think about the why. And if you pray, pray over it. I do that every morning. Your intuition is God's way of communicating with you. And when you learn to slow down and listen, the answers can come pretty clearly. You just need to trust in those answers when you get them. So these are the 10 signs that should be your red flag that your current job might not be the right fit for you anymore. But I strongly encourage you to take the first step with talking to your manager first. Communication is key in any relationship. And if you don't have a great relationship with your manager, request some time with their manager. I do skip level meetings all the time. That means I meet with my direct reports. I want to hear from them to make sure they are happy and they feel supported and to make sure they know that I'm approachable and I'm here to talk with them. And if that's not something you can do or have the confidence to do, then you owe it to yourself to find something different. You deserve to feel fulfilled, valued, and really happy in your career. Life is too short and you spend way too many working hours at work to be unhappy. So don't be afraid to take charge and go for new opportunities. The best time to find another job is when you have one because the pressure is off. If you want more time management and work-life balance tips, come on over and hang out with us in my free Facebook community, Work-Life Balance for Working Moms. Sending you so much love and light until next time on Mom Wife Career Life with Kerri Pat. Before you go, if you found this podcast helpful, I would be so grateful if you would take a minute, go on over to iTunes and leave me a review. If you have other stressed out mamas in your life that you feel this podcast could help, take a screenshot of this episode, post it on your Instagram stories, and tag me, and let them know that they are not alone and they can create balance in their life too. If there's a topic you'd like me to cover or you just want to connect, DM me on Instagram at mom.wife.career.life or come on over and hang out in our free Facebook community, Work-Life Balance for Working Moms. Sending you so much love and light until next time on Mom Wife Career Life with Kerri Pat.